동작이 보이고 있죠.
지금 아이솔레이션. 지금은 백지훈 선수의 부딪힘이 좀 있었는데 커리 선수가 약간 흥분을 했습니다. 지금 아이솔레이션을 하겠다는
선수가 머리가 좋다는 것으로 보여져요.
네. 지금 저희가 예상을 했던 그 장면이 나왔는데 커리 선수가 지금 테크니컬 파울이 지금 나온 것 같습니다.
더블 펄.
네, 입니다. 커리 선수는 아직도 표정을 숨길 수가 없습니다.
And where you started, like where are you from?
Right, so like you said, I'm from DC, born and raised. I love my city. I think it's the best city in the world, honestly. But you know, I grew up in DC, went to school at Duke University. Also think that's the greatest university. Yeah, I mean basketball, like DC, DMV, like breathes basketball. Like that's what we do. So it kind of just like I would say my dad, but I feel like it just naturally comes to like the kids that are from the area. It's what you see. You know, we had a lot of stars come out of the area, and so I just started playing at a very young age. I loved the game. I was halfway decent at it, so I just kept at it. And it was just something that, you know, brought me a lot of joy, a lot of fun. I lived in a neighborhood with all boys, and so they would play basketball, and I would be the only girl, and I'd be playing with them every day after school, drop my stuff, go outside, and then hoop all day. And so that was how I kind of got started with it. You know, I always wondered, like, just like God blessed me with like this natural talent, and I wouldn't say like the natural talent enough can take you to higher levels, but I will say like I was naturally talented at the sport, and from no thanks to anybody, but just like me being born that way, and so I had fun with it because, you know, as a kid, if you're good at something, you're gonna want to like invest in it more. You're getting like celebrated, love, and so in DC, like the Mystics, that was the thing to do in the summer, like. They used to hang banners in the Capital One Arena that was like attendance record for all these years, because DC, like the arenas were packed every summer. It was a thing to do. So I would go down to the games, watch the players. I always tell this story. I used to in the garage where the players drive out. You know, a lot of fans, they stand outside there, and I was a kid. I used to wait outside after the games. My cousin. Me, my cousin, and my sister and stuff. We would go to the garage and wait for the players to come out, just so like. When the players would drive out the garage, and we'd be like, hey, and then they would stop and they would talk to us. And they're like, I got a shoe from one of the Mystics players. It might still have it. This was like 30 years ago too. And so it was then I thought like, oh wow, I see women playing professional basketball. Maybe that's something to do. And seeing competition like across the country was really eye-opening for me. I would say, because you know, AAU basketball, you know, you have the best players from all over the country, and you kind of only see, you know, your local teams. And then once I started traveling, and I'm seeing, oh wow, this player from Indiana, like she's great, or this player elsewhere, and that was really fun to experience, to be able to see players from across the country. Yeah, so I feel like I'm saying back then because like I'm so old. So back then they used to make the Final Four a whole weekend. So the draft was actually the day after the championship game, and so for me. We had just lost in overtime in the national championship game, and I had the draft the next morning. So
Williams double teamed at the baseline, out to Foley for three, and boy, what a killer that is. To drive and get the bucket and draw the foul on Lindsay. Up to five. Curry loses the ball, a turnover here. Coleman, tough shot, she made it.
Coleman is so dangerous. She's explosive off the bounce. She has not played a
Durant, she'll go to the line, a chance to... Got it off! We'll go to overtime! Foley, under three. Foley has to force it. No! No, it's done it!
It was really a weird time for me because, yes, I was excited about the WNBA, but I was also just still heartbroken from the night.
Oh, I'm pissed.
The Charlotte Sting select Monikhkori from Duke University. After a day of disappointment with that tough loss, you know, her Duke Blue Devils falling to Maryland, it was good to see Monique smile, and Charlotte gets that inside presence they need.
About their ability to get to the free throw line. Monikhkori, fourth all-time in the NCAA.
Along with Shuri Sam in the backcourt, Allison.
Monique, in the last 12 or 14 hours, you've experienced heartbreak and now the fulfillment of a dream. What's it been like balancing these emotions?
Yeah, it's really been a roller coaster for me, and I'm just so happy right now. It's really hard to put into words, especially coming off of last night's loss.
All right, well, congratulations.
So I'm at the draft. You know, I had to get up, get ready. You know, it takes a little while to move on from that. And I wasn't over it, and so family was there. You know, the moment is coming, and so you know, we're in the green room and all that. And I'm just like, I got these mixed feelings because I'm really sad because I'm still thinking about the game. Should we have fouled? Made her shoot 2 free throws because it was like 7 seconds left, down 3. Should you foul, put them on the free throw line, or should you play it out? And we played it out, and she made a 3 and sent it into overtime. So then I'm just running like all these things through my mind, like, damn, should we have done this? Should we have done that?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you know, it was still the moment that I had, you know, a goal of mine, had prepared for, didn't know where I would go. Ended up going to Charlotte with the 3rd pick, which was cool. You know.
What was that endurance like for you to go from this league to the next one abroad?
It's kind of like what we were just used to, and I'm happy they have other opportunities for, you know, players to stay stateside. But I feel like my experiences being overseas were like invaluable. And although, I mean, I'm still playing a game I love, I'm getting paid, and I'm also like learning about new people, learning new cultures, traveling to so many countries. And I always talk about, when I talk to young kids, about like the opportunities outside of like what's just on the court. What you can experience through the sport, like what you can get through basketball. I've like visited so many countries that without basketball that I would not have, or tried different foods, or tried different customs. And so it was just a natural transition. You play in a W and then you go overseas. It was hard because, you know, I'm missing my friends, I'm missing my family. It was a grind, and you do it. It was just what it was. I don't know. I wouldn't change it. I mean, I wouldn't change it. I love the experience. I definitely wouldn't change it for anything, but it was just a part of the game. You just grind it out.
What was your favorite place that you played at?
Ooh, so Israel was my favorite country. It was the first country I played in. It was just like, the food was amazing, the weather was nice, the beach was right there, the people were fun, the nightlife was like, you party all night, you come outside, it's light outside, you're like, damn, it's 7 a.m. I didn't even know it was
It's different in Europe.
It's different, man, you know. And so, but then like I played in Korea the longest. I played in Korea 6 years, and so I became like really fond of the country. It was a hard adjustment at first because our cultures are very different, like American culture and Korean culture. But once we kind of got like an understanding, I love being there. Just again, the food's fun. The shop, I love to shop, and so like shopping was really in the league. It's only like 8 teams, 7 teams, so you're playing against the same people over and over again. But they take really great care of their foreign players, and so I felt really at home being in Korea. That's my second home now. So I played in Israel, Russia, Romania, Spain, Italy, and Korea. So I played in 6 different countries.
That's crazy. That's a great career, though.
I was in Charlotte for 1 season, and then they like disbanded the team. And so then the following year, I ended up getting picked up by DC, which was like, where I said it was like the full circle moment for me, because it's like, damn, I grew up watching this team, and now I play for this team. And so I played the majority of my career for DC. I played like 10 seasons in DC, which was amazing. It's like something I could have never like dreamed about. Played in Phoenix, and then 1 year in San Antonio.
Like, did you get to choose your ending, or did the ending kind of choose you?
Right. Yeah. So the WNBA provides a lot of opportunities for players outside of basketball, which I think is great. They offer like internships or just opportunities to explore your interests outside of basketball, like even like schooling opportunities. So I kind of made sure through my career that I took advantage of like what the league offered. So I was able to go to this Harvard crossover into business class, which is like a program for professional athletes at Harvard, and they kind of like do the crossover, like just learning the business side of things, which is an amazing program. A lot of players have gone through it, actually, both through all NFL players, NBA players, WNBA players, and then also like having like internships. I had always been interested in like real estate development and just real estate in general, and so like I met this guy one day, and he's like, oh, you know, they were building a new development in where I was from, and I went to go see the houses, and then like long story short, his daughter worked for the Mystic. He's like, oh, my daughter, she talks about you all the time. You know, if you interested, you know, let me know. And so, you know, it's all about like knowing people and like making these connections. And he's like, oh, you know, you could definitely come, you know, work with us whenever, you know, in the off season. And I try to implore when I played, and I was like the vice president of the players union. I always try to implore like our teammates and our my teammates to like really think about like what you want to do what do you want to do after basketball. It's not going to last forever. You know, we're making good money. Like our money was not like kind of what they're making better money now, but right, you could live a pretty decent life, you know, a nice life. And so I try to, you know, implore them to take advantage of what the league offers and also figure out what else interests you, because it's hard to go from playing in WNBA, making whatever you're making, and then you got to go to an entry level job because you never had a real job before. And I think that's some of the things that a lot of, you know, players struggle. As you know, talking to players, they struggle with like, what I'm going to do next. So I think the last 2 years of my career is when I started to think about like, hey, what am I going to do next? Like I'm getting older, you know, my minutes are different. Like I'm not starting now. And I want to go, I'm leaving on my own terms. I don't want to be like that player where they're like, damn, why Mo still playing? Like she need to retire. You know? I don't want that to be me. I want to go out on my own terms. And so where I work now at Nike, it kind of came like at the perfect time where I had already started to, you know, after the 2018 season. I mean, it was kind of scary because like when you were playing, I played basketball my whole life up until that point, and then just the things of like being on a schedule, like knowing what's next, knowing where I needed to be. It was kind of scary to what life would be like, you know, without the structure of sport in my life. But I also was kind of excited about it. Like, oh, I got my weekends back. You practice on Saturdays, you practice on Sunday, or you're traveling. And like, I have my, you know, my days I can travel, you know, with my friends and hit vacations and just kind of do all the things that people who aren't, you know, I'm one of very few who make it to that level. So really like, proud of that. But also I was looking forward to what's next.
Automatically your jump to Nike, or did you have something in between there that you were kind of exploring at that time?
They kind of came like at the same time. So I'm like 2018, like the season was the last season I played. Sometime after that, like I was in this Facebook group for like retired WNBA players. Okay. And so in the group, it sounds so old. When I tell my niece and nephew I'm on Facebook, they're like, oh, only old people use Facebook, but whatever. Right. There was like a post came about this Nike program called the WIN program. It stands for Women in Nike. And at Nike, they were looking to bring in former WNBA athletes into roles at Nike headquarters. And I'm like, oh shit, this looks, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about
right up your alley.
Right, let me just apply and see what happens. I didn't know what it was about. I just knew that it was a job opportunity at Nike headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, which I had never been to Oregon before. And so I'm like, let me apply and see what comes. So I applied, heard back, did a phone interview. The funny thing is I got two of my really great friends. I'm telling them about what I'm about to do. Like, oh, I'm about to try to get this job. I got an interview. I've never done an interview before.
Wow.
I've never done an interview. I've never had I had camp jobs, but I never had a job where I had to do an interview. I'm like, oh, snap. Like, what I'm doing. So we had this like mock trial, like interviews. My homeboy.
Okay, there you go.
We were at the house. They were asking me questions, and I'm trying to like give answers on how to do the interview, and they would give me like feedback and all that kind of stuff. So I was really trying to prepare for it. I had the phone. My dad had this habit of just coming to my house without like announcing himself and just like the key to my house too. So I'm on the phone interview, and then I hear the door and my dad's like, Monique, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to mute the phone, like, hold on one second. And they're like, Dad, I'm taking an interview right now, like shit. So I did that. had the interview, then made it to the next round, and the next round is where they flew the finalists out to Nike World headquarters in Oregon. And that was like I said, it was my first time out here, and that's when they did like in-person interviews. And then ultimately, I got offered the job. You know, the big thing was like you had to move to Oregon if you accepted.
Yeah.
That was a big thing, but also I was used to living in different places. You know, as a women's female professional player, you've lived in, like I said, all these different places. So moving wasn't a thing. It wasn't ideal. Like Oregon, I don't know if I necessarily would have chosen Oregon to be. I never would have thought I would be living in Oregon at this point in my life. But the opportunity was and is an amazing opportunity. It's incredible, and that's how I landed here at Nike World Headquarters, which is where I currently work, and which is where I am right now.
Where you are right now, yeah, exactly. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing over at Nike.
Okay, so I'm a product manager. We're called PLMs in the footwear world, and what PLMs essentially do is kind of like we are the connection point between the consumer and then our whole design triad. So that's like the designer who makes the product, the color who chooses the colors, the material who picks the material. I kind of brief the team on like, hey, you know, kids are into low tops now. They like big swooshes. Comfort and traction is most important, and they love bright colors. And so I kind of brief the team, and together, like, we go through the process of briefing where I brief them on what, you know, consumers are looking for. And then we go on this journey together, building that product until, you know, it comes to market. And so I'm managing that process from brief all the way to it hits the stores.
Did you ever think that this was going to be the space in your post-career phase that you were actually going to fall into designing shoes and footwear and things of that nature?
You know, so the thing is, like, I've been a sneakerhead all my life. Like, sneakers have been was always my life. Like, I'm camping out for shoes. I was even camping out for shoes when I started at Nike. Just like, that was my thing. I made like a lot of friendships, a lot of like connections came through like just the love of
that
sneakers.
community.
Yeah. So when I came to Nike, I didn't know like there was a person whose job it was to like make the colors of the shoe. I guess I didn't just think about how shoes showed up in a Foot Locker, and I always had a dream, like I wanted to work at Foot Locker because I loved shoes so much. And I'm like, yo, I could work at Foot Locker and just be around sneakers all day. I did not know that Nike is this, obviously I knew it was a big company, but I didn't know what happens here in world headquarters. And so when I got here, it just opened my eyes to so much of like how, you know, kids, especially black kids or kids from inner cities who love sneakers, who drive the culture, who drive, you know, what's cool, can be a part of like the actual process of creating these things. And so I think, you know, and I want to be able to like kind of let people know about like these different opportunities, and I want to figure out ways where Nike can show up. I know they're like going to career fairs and like, you know, HBCUs and all that kind of stuff. Just like, it's really cool to work around shoes. So every day I come to work, I don't feel like I'm at work because I'm like, I play with shoes all day. Like, I'm looking at shoes, I'm critiquing colors, I'm you know, collaborating around design. I'm not a designer. I'm a product manager. Designer is design. We just get
design is different.
Yeah. And so, no, I never thought this is where I would be, but like, I can't think of anywhere else I would rather be.
Yeah.
Unless maybe I could work for, you know, the expansion, working for like a team at some point maybe in life. But this is a perfect place for me. I love it.
Was there a learning curve that you had to figure out, like the language, the lingo, the, you know, the corporate kind of 9 to 5? Was that a challenge for you, kind of showing up into work and learning those kind of things? Was that a challenge for you at all?
Yeah, I'll say kind of like the reason Nike felt it important to bring in former athletes into the company and roles is just kind of like all the things you develop being an athlete. So working on teams, working through tough situations, being a good teammate, figuring out alternative ways, and all these things. Like, so a lot of athletes think because they haven't had a job, they don't have the qualities to be in a business or a corporation, and they do, because they're getting all these skills that, you know, a lot of people who aren't athletes don't have. Like, you know,
agreed.
Say you got a teammate you don't like, but y'all like working towards the same goal, you got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Or just like,
you can't not pass on the ball.
Exactly. Like, a coach draws a play with 5 seconds and you got to execute. So all these things that you develop as an athlete are transferable into like the corporate world. Some of the soft skills are probably the things that we don't have. So like me trying to figure out how to work Outlook, it's just like a calendar, scheduling meetings, setting up meetings, and then like all the tools that we use, Keynote and PowerPoint, and trying to figure those things. I think that was the biggest curve for me. But once there's nothing that we can't, like athletes, you can learn anything. You can do anything. Like if you can run suicides, you can learn how to set up a calendar. And so, and that's the same. Like, you had teammates that you could get on in a moment, fire them up. You got teammates that, you got to wait till y'all on the bench, be like, hey, you could have did this. Some people you got to wait till after. So learning how to communicate with different types and personality types is a thing you learn in sport, and it carries over into here. So I think like, for me, I'm like a very direct person, so just figuring out and being from the East Coast, like we're direct. More so, like the West Coast is more a little like softer on their delivery. That was kind of something that I needed to work on, because it was like no offense, or like I'm not being rude, but it's just like
it's a fact.
It's just a cultural coastal difference that was something that I needed to kind of, and I'm still working on it. Like I was just trying to get to. I want to make sure like things are productive. It's like. I think those things are kind of like those little soft skills are what, coming from sport may need to kind of adjust and learn. And then I think once the opportunity comes, it's like the onus is on us, like as the athlete, to take advantage of it. So like I can give you the, like you say, what to say, like you can lead the horse to water, you got to make them drink. Like once you get to the water, you got to figure out like what can you do to make this the best opportunity for you. How can you like, get better? How can you use the resources that are out there that are free to everybody to like, improve in the areas where you find, I think when those opportunities come, like athletes can be ready to take advantage of it, but just really figuring out once you get it, what you gonna do. Because it's not like a lot of hand holding, like, because when you playing, you the star, everybody love you, you scoring baskets, they want to be your friend, they want to call you, they want to take you to dinner, they want to do all these things. And then when you hang them shoes up, you still can get like some of those connections because of your past, but the hand holding doesn't work the same once you out of there. And so I think the ones who are most successful are the people who can like take those opportunities and then build on them and make it their own.
Auntie and uncle, but you like the OG, you know what I mean? Who've done it, who like you've made it to that next lane. There's only how are ways that you are still staying connected with the W and still helping usher future people kind of transition to their second half?
I'm a big fan of the W. I follow it. I try to go to All-Star every year now. All-Star is a great time for one, to kind of see the new stars of the league, but I think more importantly is just connecting with a lot of the old players. And so a lot of us go back to All-Star, kind of share what we're doing, share resources. It's really like a family. It's a sisterhood. And just if people are struggling, how can we help each other? Are there opportunities we know about that people can kind of transition into if they're looking? So I think that's mostly how I stay a part of the game. I'm also a basketball official, so I officiate high school girls and boys basketball here in Oregon, which has been like a really, really different experience for me. I think a lot of players, they're always like, oh, why you don't want to coach? Like, you can go into coaching. And coaching is like the natural transition for a lot of players, but it wasn't anything that I was ever interested in, just because I know like the coaches are there before the players get there, and the coaches are there once you leave. And that's like it's a real big commitment that you have to be crazy passionate about. And in this moment, I don't feel that passionate, but I've always been interested in officiating. And so when I got the opportunity to like kind of explore that, I dove right in, and that's kind of where I get my joy as a way to stay connected to the games. Like I'm at games every day, because I got 2 games tonight. Season just started this week. And so I really look forward to being out there just in a different way.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. But what's just kind of the value that you would share with others who are coming up, whether they're in high school, college, or even currently playing in the WNBA or overseas? Like what would you share with them of like what the process is for you to kind of figure out your second half as you've been able to do successfully?
Yeah, I think people just need to discover what interests them outside of sport. Or it could be in addition to sport. What other areas? Is it media? Is it like, are you interested in being a GM? Are you interested in marketing? Kind of like when you have that downtime, don't just be at home sleeping or chilling. You know what I'm saying? If it's something you're passionate about, learn about it, go experience it, especially as you are an athlete where, you know, you have access that you may not necessarily have if you weren't an athlete. So take advantage of that, you know, reach out to people. I'm sure people say this on your podcast a lot, just around, like, it's about who you know. And that's really what it comes down to. Can I text Bob and say, hey, Bob, you know, I really love houses. You guys have any opportunities? You know, don't be afraid to ask. All somebody can say is yes or no.
Yes or no. That's it.
People have fear of just asking for what they want. And sometimes you don't know, just ask. If they say no, cool. You know,
move on. Next.
I can ask somebody else. And so once people get over that fear of no, I think it could take you kind of really far, because more times than not, the people are going to say yes. Once you get there, though, you need to make sure you're doing the things to make it known that you are valuable to whatever this is. And if you aren't, continue to ask questions and continue to learn and grow. That's what I would say.
You spot on with that. I love that answer. One, I appreciate you. You continue to show, I mean, you're such a great athlete on the court, excited for your journey to continue with Nike and beyond. You're still a huge advocate for the women's game, which I love, and staying connected to the W and all girls basketball, which is obviously great. Where can people kind of stay in communication with you or just kind of follow your journey at? Like, is there any LinkedIn or social media where they can kind of stay in tune with you?
I'm on social media. I'm Mokurrie, Mocurrie, on most platforms. And, you know, I love social media, so I'm on there. I'm doing my thing. I'm really hopeful that, like, other athletes will be able to kind of, you know, find ways to make their transition as smooth as possible. And then when they do hit the bump, just know the bump is not permanent. Like, you can come out of it, you can make it to the next. You might start something that you don't like, you could transition into something else. It's not too late. So I think just encouraging people, and that's not just for athletes, anybody. If you're in something, like, you change careers, you go from one career to another career, I think it's powerful to be able. It might be scary, but get in there and you give it all you got. What can happen? Try something.
There you go.